The Phantom Menace no longer takes the cake for the weirdest and wackiest hairstyles in the history of cinema. Just watch this movie. Jodie Comer's hairstyles in this movie would make Padme Amidala proud, but I'm more talking about Matt Damon's wild hair and Ben Affleck's wild hair. We'll get into it, because that shit is just wild. So The Last Duel is the latest historical epic from Ridley Scott. It stars Jodie Comer, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Adam Driver, and is about a woman named Marguerite who, in 1380s France, claims that she was raped by one of her husband's friends, which is Adam Driver, and now she has to decide whether or not she wants to bring this to the attention of the courts, and whether or not Matt Damon is actually going to support her. I'm just going to refer to them as the actors. I mean, Jodie Comer plays Marguerite. That's the only name that I can really say because they're all French names. I don't want to butcher the names. So when I refer to the characters, I'm just going to refer to Matt Damon as Matt Damon, Adam Driver as Adam Driver, Ben Affleck as Ben Affleck, but when it comes to Jodie Comer, I'm going to refer to her as Marguerite because that's the one name I can say. But Jodie Comer in this movie, damn, holy shit. Man, she puts on an acting clinic in this movie. For disturbing subject matter like this, the performances of the leads have to really sell me that this is something that is serious and that they can play it convincingly. And man, Jodie Comer played it so convincingly. I can see an Oscar nomination coming for her. I say that almost in every movie review. I say that, oh yeah, this movie is going to have an Oscar nomination for such and such person, but I can literally see it for this. She is so good in the movie. Matt Damon and his wild hair. Matt Damon looks like Chris Jericho got kicked out of the band Fozzy and was rejected by WWE. Even Matt Damon is good. It's a little weird that they didn't cast anybody who's French, you know, because Matt Damon has a really weird accent, I guess. It's more of a British accent. The only one that has a really good accent is Ben Affleck, and he looks like Joffrey. If Joffrey grew up and survived the events of Game of Thrones, it's the exact same thing. Like, trust me, it's literally Joffrey. Adam Driver is Adam Driver. He's great and everything. He's really just that one imposing force where it's just like, yeah, you're going to be the bad guy. We all know it. Ridley Scott really dabbles his hands into these historical epics, and he knows how to make these things. Surprisingly, for a movie that is more of a drama and is a bit slower than many people would probably expect, the runtime actually flew by for me. It's 2.5 hours, and I didn't feel like it was 2.5 hours, or if it did feel like it was just shy of 2.5 hours. But I guess that means that all the dialogue sequences and the events that were taking place on screen were of interest. I mean, not the rape. No. That was hard to watch. That was definitely not interesting at all. You actually see the rape twice. It's a little bit, maybe they could have cut the second viewing of the rape out, maybe shorten the movie by probably 2 or 3 minutes, but it is what it is, because the only reason you see it twice is because this movie is told from 3 different perspectives. You have Matt Damon's perspective, you have Adam Driver's perspective, and then you have Jodie Comer's perspective. That broke up the pacing a lot, because it's divided into 3 chapters, almost like 3 acts, you know? I just think that each act was paced magnificently, even though it's very dialogue heavy. Like, you're learning information about Matt Damon's character from his perspective. You're learning information about Adam Driver's character from his perspective. You're learning more about Marguerite from her perspective. The thing is, though, this could be a bit off-putting to some people, seeing events that happened in somebody else's perspective. There's battle sequences that happen in Matt Damon's perspective that appear again in Adam Driver's perspective, but they're shown more briefly in Adam Driver's perspective, because I think the movie knew that we had already seen them. However, the movie was presented like this, which I had no idea it was. I was actually really invested because I was trying to pick up on the various similarities and differences between each perspective and who to believe. Obviously, I believed Marguerite. I believed her to have the full truth and the full version of the story, but it's like Matt Damon's character doesn't really know all that much. Adam Driver's kind of like a master manipulator. It's really like this movie actually plays off like it's an extended episode of Game of Thrones. There's not as many battle scenes as one would think from the trailer, and for anybody expecting a historical epic from Ridley Scott along the lines of Gladiator and Kingdom of Heaven, you're going to be vastly disappointed because this is a very dialogue-heavy movie. Battle scenes are there as a backdrop to represent the setting and the background of the characters and their decisions and who they are and what they're doing and the purpose that these battles serve in the historical context of this story and why these characters are actually at the battles. The battles are never like extended sequences like you would see in Kingdom of Heaven or Gladiator, where it lingers on the brutality of the battle, the menacing carnage of war. It's never like that. You get the battle sequences, but they're brief, and even in Adam Driver's perspective, they're cut even more brief. So it is a very dialogue-heavy movie, and it is a movie you really have to pay attention to. That's why I'm not really classifying it as a historical epic. It is a historical epic, but I would say it's more of a historical epic drama rather than a straightforward historical epic. Like, it's not in the vein of Kingdom of Heaven or Gladiator. Especially with how the movie was marketed with the trailer and how the movie begins and what people are actually expecting, since the movie is called The Last Duel. I think audiences are going to be disappointed when they learn that this is a drama in the vein of Game of Thrones, leading up to what was trial by combat in like French history until like 1500 something. I don't know. It was something like that. Like, it covers the events leading up to that, but the events that I think audiences are expecting to lead up to that aren't going to be what they think. Most of this movie, from the drama and what actually happens with the character of Marguerite, is really hard to watch. It's disturbing as shit. And the fact you see what happens twice is just like, all right, no, we didn't have to see it. I sat through 130 minutes of The Nightingale, where the character goes through the exact same thing about 3 different times. I don't need to see it again. Like, no, please. Cut the camera, please, no. Nope, I think we should just skip this, move on. The production design really led to me believing that they were in 1380s France. The costumes really stuck out to me. They always stick out to me in a Ridley Scott historical epic. The set, I loved like the woodsy, foresty settings, you know, everything just felt so, there weren't like battlefields, you know, there's like battlefields like in a forest and across like a small stream or a river. No, it was never like Kingdom of Heaven where it's like, we're gonna go attack that castle for religious freedom! It was nothing like that, you know? So everything felt more secluded and isolated, and that was just the feeling that made me feel a little cold, dark, damp, and icky inside when the disturbing, hard-to-watch events happen where it's just like, well, shit, she's kind of fucked right now. Now, if you're going into this movie knowing it's not going to be in the vein of Kingdom of Heaven or Gladiator, and you know it's a historical drama, and you know you're getting 3 different perspectives here, somehow, I don't know how you would know. I think the only thing I could see being a problem for people, and is somewhat of a problem for me, is the repetitive nature of the film. As I said, you see events reoccurring in different perspectives, just told in a slightly different way, but some of the perspectives, there were shots that were exactly the same, and I thought it was only going to be like a few here and there, but there were legitimately like identical shots. Like, they were just copy and pasted shots. Okay, I'm going to take this out of Final Cut Pro, copy and paste that, I'm going to move it over here, and that way we don't have to get different camera angles. It was just like, we just need one shot because we know we're just going to copy and paste this as an editing technique into this part of the movie. So that did bother me. It occurred more than I thought it was going to. And watching the movie, trying to distinguish the similarities and differences between all 3 perspectives of the 3 characters, that did bother me. That there weren't different shots to fully convey a person's perspective on the subject matter. There's a shot between Adam Driver and Jodie Comer that is exactly the same in Adam Driver's perspective and Jodie Comer's perspective, and I didn't think that really worked. But The Last Duel really riveted me. It's brutal and hard to watch for sure. I liked how it was more of masters and manipulators just manipulating things and just assholes being assholes and focused more on implications and the dialogue and the consequences of what would happen if someone in medieval France told courts about this. Ridley Scott just is able to assemble such a great production team that takes you into medieval France and gets the best out of his actors. Jodie Comer, Matt Damon, Adam Driver, Ben Affleck, they're all really good in here. And while this is going to be a hard rewatch given the subject matter, I definitely do want to watch it again to see if there was anything I missed in any of the perspectives and try and see if there is more similarities and differences in any of the perspectives that I may have missed. I'm going to say The Last Duel is watchable with a full bucket of popcorn. I'm not going to say you're going to enjoy it, because I don't think anybody's going to enjoy watching this movie and what occurs in this movie. If you do, then I really got to question your sense of humanity. I think saying watchable is feasible enough. So have you seen The Last Duel? What did you think about it? Drop me some feedback in the comment section below. I'll leave my link to my website in the description below as well. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I'll see you at the movies somewhere.